Nations around the world are strategically employing the media to pursue their national agendas and promote their diplomatic activities as they engage in heated competition in a war of media diplomacy. Amid this trend, 아리랑TV has embarked on a new journey as a national media diplomat, bridging Korea and the world through the United Nations.
Starting today, 아리랑TV can be viewed on UN screens.
A year ago, on July 14, 2015, 아리랑TV, an international English language broadcaster based in Korea, officially launched its channel, Korea Arirang, on the UN in-house network. The UN in-house network is broadcast at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Korea Arirang offers programs catering to its target audience, which includes UN officials, diplomats, policymakers, and other opinion leaders, and sheds light on global issues from Korea's perspective.
It is very important that the channels that are broadcasted internally do represent the key actors in the international community, different regions in the world, and help to open us to different cultures and economic and social issues. So diversity, regional diversity is very important, and your network represents an important part of the culture, the history, the politics of the Asian region.
In addition to impacting the views of opinion leaders, Korea Arirang's launch has a strong significance to the diplomats representing Korea on the international stage. Not only instilling national pride, it is also facilitating their diplomatic activities.
우리의 국제적인 면모, 또 아시아의 세계에 대한 기여, 이런 것을 잘 보여주기 위해서 아리랑TV가 할 수 있는 역할이 많다고 생각합니다. 기회를 충분히 활용해서 그 TV의 내용이나 품질 면에 있어서 그런 국제적인 스탠다드를 계속 유지하시는 게 중요하다고 생각합니다.
There are 21 international broadcasters that have channels on the UN in-house network, including CNN International, BBC World, Fox News, and Al Jazeera. Among them, there are only 2 Asian channels, which are Korea Arirang and Japan's NHK World.
I used to have my screen at the UN split on 4 with the internal television, and one of the 4 channels is Arirang. The UN became one of the few centers in the world where you have a possibility of using those different channels. It became a privileged place for journalists too. So it's a good point of observation, and because all the canalization of news goes through television now or social media, you're in a good spot and you should continue to do that.
아리랑TV, an international English language television network founded in 1997, began broadcasting in the Asia-Pacific region in 1999 and extended its reach to Europe and the Americas in the following year. In 2012, it set an unprecedented record as Korea's first broadcaster to serve 100 million households around the world. 아리랑TV's entry into the UN in-house network is especially significant, as it can act as media diplomat through its channel, Korea Arirang, in an age when media diplomacy serves as a major instrument of foreign policy and international negotiations.
Having worked as a journalist for international media for many years, I've always felt that Korea is not rightly reported in the global media. Having your voice in the world rather than relying on other voice carriers like the international media like CNN and BBC makes tremendous difference. In that sense, having 아리랑TV could be a blessing for Korea.
a lot of nations rushing to the field of advocacy, and the single most important instrument in national advocacy, policy advocacy, is international broadcasting. We need some focused, some pointed target space, some focused target group, and in that sense, I mean, United Nations is one of the most symbolic and very crucial strategic target. So, in that sense, I think the advancement of Korea 아리랑TV into the United Nations in-house channel would have great significance and implications for Korea's public diplomacy at large.
The 70th session of the UN General Assembly was held in September last year. Arirang TV became the sole Korean television network to broadcast live coverage of President Park Geun-hye's speech at the General Assembly worldwide. During the General Assembly, a total of 669 minutes of live footage was aired at 9 different time points, and this was provided free of charge to the domestic terrestrial television networks, such as KBS and MBC, as well as cable networks. The high-level event on Semaulundong held at the UN headquarters was also broadcast live worldwide by Arirang TV. This helped propose Korea's Semaulundong as a new paradigm for rural development in the international community in the 21st century. Arirang TV's role as a media diplomat doesn't end here. It has provided live coverage of President Park's visit to foreign countries and news updates on other diplomatic activities to 123 million households in 106 countries in the past year.
That's very important, not simply because Korean president attended there and delivered the keynote speech there, but that is even more important because it was a great opportunity for the entire Korean nation to demonstrate its commitment to the international cause of development cooperation.
Following the inception of Korea Arirang, Arirang TV has aggressively reprogrammed its news and current affairs programs. It broadcasts news 12 times throughout the day, including 8 live news broadcasts, and airs 12 current affairs and information programs. We met with Moon Kon-young, an anchor on Arirang TV's main news program, The News Center. She says a wide range of dramatic changes have occurred this past year, including louder viewer feedback.
Not only limited to Korean or American news that we got feedbacks to prior to the launching, we've been getting positive and negative feedbacks on news from all around the world. When we did a live coverage of President Park's visit to Iran, we got a lot of feedback from Iran and Iranians both living in Iran and abroad. And so we have been getting a wide range of diverse viewers respond to our news and showing interest in how our news is presented and delivered to the global audience.
To cater to the domestic and overseas viewers' demands for more prompt news updates, Arirang TV has been collaborating more actively with other international broadcasters. Last December, Arirang TV signed a memorandum of understanding with France 24, an international news and current affairs television station based in Paris, on bilateral content sharing and program production. As such, Korea's international broadcaster has been expanding its cooperation with Europe since its UN channel launch.
The biggest change, I think, in the past year has been our collaboration with other global networks, other state-run networks in other countries. For instance, we've been doing live connections with DW and France 24. So we would do live connections for them when they need our perspective on certain news that happen in Korea, and when we need their reporting from that country, they would do that for us. So there have been a lot more of that global interaction between Arirang and other news networks across the globe.
The biggest impact achieved from bolstering the news programs is that it highlights Korea's perspective on major global issues for the international community. In the past year, Arirang TV has kept its viewers up to date on the state of affairs on the Korea Peninsula including North Korea's nuclear program, which is of global interest. It is also broadcast in-depth features and analytical discussions as a way to present Korea's views to the local community.
Korean unification, from our nationalist perspective, it's a normative issue that must be that must be achieved. But you have to detach yourself from that kind of like subjective and nationalist normative norms, and then align the issue of Korean unification with some global issues. How when Korea unified, how possibly specifically we could contribute to like a sustainable development, the conflict resolution, the maintenance of peace in the region and global society.
A year ago, the UN Human Rights Office was established in Seoul to monitor and document the human rights situation in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The office is headed by Sina Paulson, who stresses the importance of media's role in communicating the information they obtain from research papers and civil societies among various other sources to people across the globe.
One thing that the media does is it often puts a human face to what can seem like quite abstract concepts like human rights and laws and standards and statistics. And this really helps engage people. The Commission of Inquiry report, which documented the human rights violations in North Korea, came out in 2014, and that gave a good and quite deep overview of the human rights violations. But how to get that out to people in a digestible and useful manner, this is where the media played a crucial role.
She says Korea's media diplomacy has gained momentum thanks to Arirang TV, delivering news affecting the Korean peninsula and critical analysis from the viewpoint of Korea.
Sometimes outside sources reporting on the Korean peninsula have a slightly different angle or view, and what Arirang contributes in terms of a regional perspective is incredibly important to our analysis and deeper understanding of many of the aspects and the complexity of the relationship between the Republic of Korea, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and the region more broadly. And this is not only in terms of human rights, of course, but also broader in terms of social and economic issues that are relevant and cultural issues that are relevant to this region.
In addition to the news programs, Arirang TV engages its viewers with a wide range of other programs that provide facts and objective information on the major issues concerning Korea and shed light on the other side of the stories for a more multifaceted picture. A special edition of The Interview was aired on March 1st in time for the Independence Movement Day, commemorating the resistance movement against the Japanese occupation. It featured an interview with Kim Seok-young and Kim Moon-sung, the sculptors behind the Girl of Peace statues. Korean citizens have been coming together for the Wednesday demonstrations to urge the Japanese government to address the issue of military sexual slavery. At the 1000th Wednesday demonstration in December 2011, a Girl of Peace statue created by the couple was erected in front of the Embassy of Japan in Seoul to urge the Japanese government to address the issue of military sexual slavery. The Japanese government has demanded that the statue be removed, causing a strain on the diplomatic relations between the two countries. But the statue continues to remain in place as a symbol of the plight of the victims of Japan's military sexual slavery. The interview brought to people's attention this tragic part of Korean history that has become a diplomatic issue yet to be resolved by doing a feature on the sculptors who masterminded the Girl of Peace statue. This special edition was met with positive reception and turned the couple into an overnight sensation, with people rooting for them from around the country and the world.
우리에 대한 어떤 그러니까 진실, 사실, 역사에 대한 부분들이 좀 이렇게 제대로 이렇게 좀 알려줬으면 좋겠는데 사실은 그게 많이 알려지는 것 같지는 않아요. 그리고 일본의 그 역사 지우개에 대한 그런 역할에 비해서 우리가 진실을 알리는데 너무 미약한 부분들이 있는데 이런 부분에 대한 내용들에 대해서 유엔 사람들이 많이 이해를 하게끔 되는 어떤 그런 계기가 되고 굉장히 큰 역할을 한 것 같아요. 아리랑TV가. 그래서 그런 부분에 대해서 굉장히 감사하게 느끼고 있습니다.
Kim Un-sung and Kim Seok-young vow to continue their social movement through their artworks and exhibitions. And from the bottom of their hearts, they wish for the voices of Koreans opposing war and praying for peace to spread across the globe through 아리랑TV.
역사적인 이런 배경이 깔린 우리 한반도에서 어떤 일이 벌어지고 있는지 그리고 어떤 생각을 갖고 국민들이 사는지 아리랑TV가 세계로 좀 많이 알려졌으면 좋겠고 우리 이렇게 평화롭게 살고 있고 이렇게 통일된 모습으로 살아갈 것이다. 함께 좀 애써주셨으면 좋겠어요.
As a media diplomat, it is just as important for 아리랑TV to inform Korean citizens of the United Nations goals and the global trends, as it is to provide Korea's perspective for the international community and promote the national agendas. 아리랑TV's content is especially relevant to aspiring diplomats who feel that the domestic media agencies have limitations in helping them gain global competency and a broader perspective on global matters.
페이스북을 통해서 BBC랑 알자지라 통신을 구독하고 있는데요. 근데 한국 언론 같은 경우에는 한국 및 주변 국가들에 대해서만 취재하는 경우가 좀 있는데 근데 이걸 타파하기 위해서 페이스북 그렇게 구독해서 지구촌 뉴스를 방방곡곡 한 번에 다 듣고 있어요.
The United Nations produces its own broadcast programs, including UN in Action and 21st Century, that delve into universal issues such as women, the environment, and human rights. These programs are now being aired in Korea and throughout the world thanks to the partnership with 아리랑TV. At the same time, various programs on 아리랑TV shed light on the main agendas of the UN pertaining to peacekeeping, climate change, energy development, and more, providing quality information that is of interest to countless young adults wishing to fulfill their professional ambitions in the international arena.
미얀마의 학생들이 이제 민주주의를 정말 이루기 위해서 이제 정말 교육을 많이 받는 그런 모습이 담긴 프로그램을 봤었는데 제가 작년에 그 여름 방학 동안 그 미얀마 난민촌에 제가 이제 교육 봉사를 갔다 왔었거든요. 정말 기초적인 그런 교육이 얼마나 이 아이들에게 굉장히 소중한 경험이고 이게 정말 나중에 커서 성인이 돼서 자신들의 이런 권리를 약간 민주주의에 대한 이런 권리를 찾는 데 있어서 얼마나 중요한지 깨달을 수 있어서 굉장히 좋았던 경험이었는데 그거를 이제 정말 다뤄주는 프로그램이 있다는 게 저는 굉장히 흥미로웠고.
For 5 years since 2007, Kim Jung-tae has served as a communications officer at the UN Project Office on Governance, operating under the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Prior to that, he had worked as an intern and consultant at the UN Office of Disarmament Affairs, where he used to watch the UN in-house network.
제가 있는 동안 매일매일 UN 웹사이트를 들어갔는데요. 그 이유 중에 하나가 본부나 사무실에 있으면 도대체 어떤 일이 일어나는지 잘 모르니까 그런 두 가지 채널을 특별히 많이 시청을 했고요. 거기에서부터 어떤 이슈들이 어떠한 이해관계자와 함께 어떤 일들이 일어나고 있는지를 볼 수 있기 때문에 구체적인 아이디어, 뭔가를 기획할 때 그런 영상에 대한 소스들을 활용하게 됐고요.
Based on his professional experience at the UN, he is now running a social innovation consulting firm in Korea. He collaborates with the UN as his firm provides consulting to generate economic, social, and environmental value. He watches 아리랑TV to keep up to date with the UN-related news.
제가 UN 본부에서 인턴하고 컨설턴트, 그 다음에 한국에 와서 또 근무를 하면서 느꼈던 것 중에 하나가 와, 한국에 이게 좀 들어와야 되는데 그런 좀 기대가 있었어요. 근데 결국에 아리랑TV가 또 이렇게 연결이 돼서 네트워크의 한 멤버가 됐다는 사실이 정말 기대가 되고요. 지금 UN이 하고 있는 다양한 내용들을 한국에 있는 정부나 기업들, 그 다음에 뭐 학교, 일반인들이 이것을 내 삶과 또 내가 하고 있는 일과 어떻게 융합할지가 지금 굉장히 큰 관심거리거든요. 그런 관점에서 아리랑TV를 통해서 전달되는 UN의 활동들이 구체적으로 그걸 고민하고 있는 정책, 또 학계, 또 기업들에게 인사이트를 줄 수 있을 거라고 생각합니다.
The Chinese government is making enormous investments into CCTV, CNC, and other domestic media agencies to turn them into world-class international broadcasters. The Russian government is disseminating domestic news from its viewpoint through 24-hour English language broadcasts. The United States and the United Kingdom, the undisputed dominant players in the global media industry, are faced with more competition as France, Germany, and Japan attempt to gain leadership. Why are all the major players in the global community turning to media diplomacy?
Media diplomacy is gaining more importance every day these days due to many reasons. Development of media technology for one thing, but more importantly, the growing importance of public opinion, global public opinion. As you know, global foreign policies are decided these days by public opinion. Public opinion plays a very important role, and who can change and influence this public opinion? That is mass media.
In order for Arirang TV to attain its aim of impacting the worldwide public opinion and gaining more influence in the international community, it must first examine the prior success stories of other international broadcasters. A great example is Al Jazeera, which initially started out as a public broadcasting station in Qatar before gaining success in its English language broadcasting services. It has even launched its own channel in the UN in-house network.
International broadcasting community has been prevailed, almost dominated by the Western media, but then Al Jazeera stood out as a perspective and voice representing Middle Eastern perspective. But many times also Al Jazeera turned its critical viewpoint toward Middle Eastern countries and their authoritarian political systems, their closed social systems, the corruptions, things like that.
While fulfilling the fundamental principles of journalism, including objectivity, Arirang TV must also strive to bring to attention the contributions made by Korea to the international community. This requires the production of more news and information programs. People no longer rely solely on the traditional mass media to obtain news and information. With the emergence of more interactive platforms, such as social media and video sharing sites. This is why bilateral communication has become key to media diplomacy.
Technically, it was impossible for international broadcasters to listen to audiences. But now it's possible thanks to technological breakthrough. So what is important is to incorporate as much as possible so digital platforms, reciprocal platforms into the conventional monologic broadcasting platform.
Communicating with the neighboring countries will also be crucial in media diplomacy. And to fulfill its role as a media diplomat, Arirang TV must collaborate with other international broadcasters in Asia so that Korea can play a pivotal role in East Asia and have a more powerful voice in the global community.
Korea is a middle power, a rising middle power, playing a very important role in the international community in the areas of security, development, cyber terrorism, human rights, environment. Korea is becoming an important player in these areas, and Arirang TV can report on these issues, what Korea is doing in the international arena in terms of security, prosperity, human rights.
In the 21st century, we actually, people in the field of public diplomacy is moving toward, step ahead, in the field towards field of collaborative public diplomacy. I think if Arirang TV could collaborate with like NHK World or CCTV, China's CCTV together, and they could produce some like joint products representing, reflecting the voices of Asia, then I think it's a prime example of collaborative public diplomacy, collaborative media diplomacy. So that I think is a very, I personally believe that it's a very promising way to go in the coming years.
Arirang TV is celebrating the 20th anniversary of its establishment and the first anniversary of its launch on the UN in-house network this year. It is playing a vital role as a messenger that connects Korea with the UN, as well as the rest of the world. As a media diplomat representing Korea, and as an international broadcaster covering the key global issues, Arirang TV is striving for excellence to better communicate with its viewers and meet the demands of opinion leaders around the world.